Now that you have a fairly concrete understanding of the differences between default or restricted SCCs and custom SCCs, let's visualize the checklist approach that an SCC takes for validating whether or not an SC is cleared for approval or slated for rejection based on the request made in the SC versus the permissions that are set to be granted via the SCC. In our first annotated example, we'll look at an SC deployment manifest on the left and a restricted SCC on the right. Follow along with the numbered annotations for a description as to how these requirements pass or fail the validation process. Afterwards, we'll compare the same SC deployment manifest file against a customized SCC provided by Brady's security administrators, and that SCC in particular has been tailored to the specific requests made by Amy's SC. Let's dissect the deployment manifest SC versus the restricted SCC. In bullet 1 on the chart and in the documentation provided to you, the outcome is a failure because the manifest requests FS group 5555. The SC is set to must run as, which means that the requested ID must be within the specified range. Since the SCC does not provide a range, the project's default range was used. In this case, 5555 is not within the range of the default value. The second item also fails due to the manifest request that run as user be set to value of 1234. The SCC is set to must run as range, which means that the requested ID must be within the specified range. Since the SCC does not provide a range, the project's default range is once again used, and in this case 1234 does not fall within that range. The third item passes due to the manifest request that run as group is set to 5678. The SCC is set to run as any, which means that the group ID 5678 is allowed and will be assigned to all containers. The fourth item fails due to the sys_time capability being not specifically allowed by the SCC and not listed in either allowed capabilities or within default add capabilities. The fifth item is a note of interest. Since the SCC sets the SE Linux context to must run as but doesn't specify the context, the container is assigned the project's default context value. Now let's examine the scenario where the deployment manifest SC is compared and validated against a custom SCC which succeeds. The first item is a pass due to the manifest request for FS group equal to 5555. The SCC in this case is set to must run as, which means that the requested ID must be within the range of 5000 to 6000, which our FS group request does fall within. The second item also passes due to the manifest request of run as user equal to 1234. The SCC is once again set to must run as range, which means the requested ID must be within the range of 1000 to 2000, which it is. The third item is also a pass due to the manifest request of run as group equal to 5678. The SCC is set to must run as, which means the requested ID must be within the specified range, 5000 to 6000, which this falls within. The final item, sys_time capability, is allowed by default in the customized SCC, so the fourth item also passes. The deployment manifest SC passes all the validation checks against the custom SCC. The MyTest app and SCC article SCSA will soon be deployed to production on the OpenShift cluster.